right, so welcome to our third video podcast. We're back at Dan's place again with another model, and why don't you tell us what you're going to do here and what we're supposed to see.
Okay, well this is an Athearn Genesis FP45 painted in the Santa Fe Superfleet scheme from the 1990s. And this is actually my second model of 95. The first one I had was an Athearn blue box that I'd kit bashed. When these came out, I saw one in the hobby shop, and I saw that they looked so much better than my model, even though I think I'd done a pretty good job on it. They have the, you know, all the photo etched radiator grills and photo etched fans, and I mean, the detail on these things is pretty cool. So I decided to sell off my model and buy another one to replace it.
Well, you had good reason this time.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So anyway, this is also my second install of a Loksound Select decoder. A few podcasts ago, I talked about having installed one in a Proto 2000 GP60, and this time I installed one in this model, and seems to be working out pretty well so far.
So is that newer one that we were talking about?
Yeah, it's the newer Loksound that's a little bit cheaper, has a few more features, and still has a couple of quirks that I haven't figured out, but anyway, it seems to work. You know, overall, it seems to be a pretty decent decoder. This model is pretty simple. All it has is a headlight and a reverse light. There aren't any other lights on this thing. And I'll go ahead and start up the sound. The decoder I used, it has a selection for you can change the prime mover noises, and this is a 20-cylinder noise, which is appropriate for the FP45, which is the last one I had. I only had a 16-cylinder noise in it, which honestly I don't know if it makes that much difference in terms of when you're hearing it going down the track on the layout, but still, you know, why not have that little bit of extra authenticity if you can. So it's pretty nice.
Oh, that bell sounds really good.
I made a custom enclosure. The speaker's actually back here in the radiator area. This model actually, they do sell sound versions with the Tsunami, but since I'm not a real big fan of the Tsunami, I just bought the non-sound one. There's actually 2 speaker locations inside the model. This thing has a lot of room in it, although the frame is really heavy. It's got a lot of die-cast metal in there too, which takes up some of the space. But I had a speaker that would fit in the opening, but not an enclosure, so I ended up making my own enclosure out of some styrene. And anyway, it seems to sound pretty good. It also, the Select allows you to choose different horns, kind of like the Tsunami does. And I chose a Leslie S3, which is I think what the Santa Fe used to use. So maybe BNSF still does. But anyway, this is actually a playable horn, so you can. This one actually changes the pitch when you play it. I'll see if I can get it to work.
Okay, I've never heard a real train do that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really the way it should be or not, but
yeah.
Anyway,
maybe for a whistle or something that would be more appropriate.
Yeah,
I've never heard a train.
You don't have to. Yep, basically, I have a Digitrax DT402 here in my hand, which is the controller, and if you just press it normally, it doesn't do that. And so you press it down real hard, it changes pitch.
Nothing like having a whammy bar for your locomotive.
Yeah.
I like the realism of the sound on this. It seems better than some of the other locomotives I've heard.
Well, I think part of it is I used a nice big speaker because I had room, and I also made a big enclosure for it, as big as I could fit in there. So I found that generally the larger enclosure that you can use, the better off you are. Ends up sounding better. So the only other thing I wanted to mention with this model is with regard to the headlight. These things come with bulbs, little 1.5 volt bulbs, but I changed them to LEDs and did my fiber optic thing with them, since that's kind of what I like to do now. Originally, the Select decoder comes with a JST plug and a harness. Unfortunately, I misplaced the harness and I didn't know where it went, but the Athearn engines have a JST plug built in, so I didn't really need it. I just plugged the Loksound decoder directly into the light board. since I was keeping the light board, and the light board has a built-in voltage regulator, I thought I'd be real smart and not have to use any resistors and just wire the LEDs directly to the light board.
But
Well, it worked, but they weren't very bright. And I think maybe the voltage regulator on there cuts a little bit too much current. So what I ended up doing is I found a place where I could tap it and solder the blue wire from both lights to a different spot, and then I put in the regular old resistors, and then I got the nice bright lights that I like.
so you had to use a resistor anyway.
Right,
Figures.
right. So other than that, it was pretty straightforward install, really. And then, of course, having to build my own speaker enclosure was a little bit of work, but other than that, it was pretty simple. So
It looks good.
yeah, it's a nice looking model. I haven't really done anything detail-wise to it. It's already more detailed than the one I used to have. So
Now, would this have ditch lights on it? Like,
no, I don't think these were ever fitted with ditch lights,
Oh, okay.
because these were retired, I think, not too long after the BNSF merger. So I don't think they lasted too long in BNSF in the BNSF era.
so this would have been used just for regular freight type operation?
Yeah,
or-
well, they were originally built as passenger engines way back in I think in the 60s, when they were still running passenger trains on the Santa Fe. And but after the passenger business went away, Santa Fe repainted them into the blue and yellow scheme and used them as freight engines. And then in the 1990s, when they decided to do this super fleet thing, these were the first engines painted in the new old Warbonnet scheme. It's kind of a revival. The only major difference between the new Warbonnet scheme and the old Warbonnet scheme is the large red Santa Fe on the side. They used to have a little black Santa Fe on the side in the writing. But otherwise, they look pretty much similar.
All right.
So anyway, but since that's kind of the era that I'm mostly modeling, I really enjoy having one of these things on the layout.
So can you turn the windshield wipers on?
No, that doesn't work, unfortunately.
Oh, what kind of cheap podcast is this? You don't even have working windshield wipers?
No, well, it never rains on my layouts. That's okay.
Oh, well, we could make that happen. Remember to go on to Facebook. Find us on Facebook and like us, and you can follow all this stuff. We're going to be adding every podcast onto the Facebook page and also onto our YouTube page. So thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.